it's very intimidating as a 20-year-old girl to go in a room full of 60-year-old businessmen and go and pitch. We had to get people to buy into the idea first that got the problem. Maybe we won't get to the incels. I've always said I'm not giving women more stuff to do. Abusive comments, messages about every aspect of us, our appearance, what we're wearing, what we're saying, literally everything.
The thing is, Amy, if you're going to book interesting guests for your podcast, then I'm going to want to chat to them in the green room.
Had Amy on from Hassl, an organisation that's tackling sexual harassment at the root cause, which is really interesting. I went to school with her. She was our head girl at sixth form, and we've kept in contact kind of vaguely throughout the years, but more so now that we're both kind of starting a business in the same kind of area, talking to females, obviously the same target market and things. So it's really cool to get her on here. Been trying to get her on for a while. Obviously she's travelling up from London, so it's a big thing. It was very good podcast.
It was brilliant because it's very, from a business point of view, it's very different because it's a social enterprise that she started. It's very, very much about tackling an issue and being really proactive about that. It needs to make money. It needs to pay people, a team of people, and how you go about that with the model that she's brought on is like quite counterproductive to that by the sounds of it. So some real challenges in there, but just shows when you've got a passion. Passion doesn't have to be when it's about entrepreneurship, starting a business, selling stuff or whatever. You might have a passion for fashion or whatever it is, but like it can be something that is social and about wanting to change things. And that's just as legitimate as a business, but it's also, there's more to it than just it being a business. It's about social change, and that's what really came out in this conversation.
And how she all put pieces it together. She obviously speaks about how she's got ADHD, being diagnosed with that last year, and how that has influenced how she manages life. She used to obviously put a mask on, which she speaks about quite openly, where she seemed very type A. She defo did in high school. She was she was our head girl. She was very on it. Yeah. She's not on it now, just in a very different way. So that's a really interesting shift that she's gone through.
You have to keep growing. You have to keep changing. You have to keep understanding yourself, and you have to make it work for you. And it was COVID that so sometimes life will throw things at you that just makes things change.
But embrace it,
yeah, exactly, and go with it and find the positives.
She did exactly that.
Exactly.
She wouldn't be here without it.
No, it was really interesting, and like I said, and that's why I was late coming in to record this, because I was chatting. Yeah, I wanted to find out more.
Well, it's a really, really good episode, so grab a coffee and tune in. Welcome to Coffee with the Female Founder.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for being here. So I want to start with you. I know obviously you speak about Hassl quite a lot. Yeah. But I want to focus on you. So have you always had the entrepreneurial bug in you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you knew me when we were younger. I think I always had to have a project, and I always had to be doing something, and like, obviously we went to the same sixth form, and when I was doing head girl stuff, and I was like always just obsessed with that. So I think I always I've always had to have like a project and stuff, and I think I've always liked doing a bit of everything, and entrepreneurship obviously very much lends itself to that. I think a lot of the time when you go into other careers, you're obviously kind of boxed into an extent of what skill sets you get to use. Because I feel like entrepreneurship is one of those where, especially in the beginning,
you get to do everything.
Yeah, and I like that aspect of it, and almost like that's why I've obviously potentially go into it in a bit, but like I've worked in startups and things because I've also been able to do that. Yeah, kind of multiple. Yeah. Application of skills rather than just focusing on one area.
Up, get stuck in every department.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's always been there, and I think always having to do different things. And then when I was at school, I joined like when we had like entrepreneurship programs and things, and I took like my subjects in sixth form were I did maths, economics, IT, and then product design. So it was like quite a good, quite a good all-round skills, I think, for what I wanted to do. So, yeah.
And then you went to uni and you did entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so the course title is like Entrepreneurial Business Management, but it's essentially delivered as a practical entrepreneurship course. The the course still exists now, but I know it's, I'm still in contact with my university, and I know it's like changed to an extent.
For the better,
and I know there's been better uptake in terms of more women joining, which when I was at university, there was not many women. I think from conversations that I've had recently with my old tutor, I think there's still, which is a lot of kind of what you talk about, is a lot of imbalance still in confidence, self-belief, all that kind of stuff. But I think there's more, it feels more accessible. Yeah. So there's more at least entering that field. That's what, you know, when we've had discussions compared to when I was there. But I know a few universities across, there was I think 3 universities across the UK that did the same course when I did it. Not sure how much that's progressed now. And as I say, that was much more of like obviously you can do business management or business, and that's a pretty common course at a lot of universities, but entrepreneurial business management specifically was very practical. It was very much like writing your assignments based on what you were doing in real life. And I liked that because I'm not very good at sitting down and writing. I like to be doing stuff. So again, I think it very much, for the people who wanted to do that, I think it was such a, what's the word? Like, I think maybe at the time I didn't appreciate all the skills and like the opportunities it brought me. And now looking back, and now that I speak to them, you know, looking back, I think there's so much value in those kind of courses. I think there should be a lot more of them.
100%.
And yeah, it was definitely challenging, especially being not one of not many women, but I guess it threw me in at the deep end in a way. I
think a lot of people go to uni, they pick a course because they're like, I kind of, you know, like that. Yeah. Maybe I'll find it interesting. But then they end up in a career that's got nothing to do with their course at all. Yeah. So was yours a very purposeful choice to go into entrepreneurship?
No. So what happened was I ended up having a year out, like after sixth form, because I was like, I don't know what I want to do. Yeah. And I think the whole idea of university scared me quite a lot. Like, I would say I've always been relatively academic, but going to the school that I went to, which was very high pressure, very competitive, not my kind of ethical stance, should I say, to put it kindly. I think it really put me off because they pushed university so much, whereas like when we went to sixth form, for me it was much more open in terms of there are other things out there, and it made me feel less pressure. So I think I was kind of looking at different things, and then I ended up having a year out and was doing makeup as I'm working. I had 2 jobs as well, and I was just earning money basically, and kind of a bit hustle type whilst I've got the time off. And yeah, I think just figuring out what I wanted to do, and then I ended up going to Newcastle University first and did filmmaking because I knew that I didn't want to do something academic, and I knew that I wanted to do something practical. Because even though I would say like, I would say I'm relatively academic in a sense, you know, like I enjoyed learning and being at school and all that kind of stuff.
But you're very project based.
I just, I don't like sitting still, all that kind of stuff. So when I went to look at the course, it was advertised as very practical, but then I think especially because it's like a Russell Group university and all that kind of stuff, it was still, we basically didn't do anything practical. Right. And I didn't enjoy it at all. Okay. It just wasn't for me. Knew I wanted to stay in Newcastle. And then I was like, no, I'm quitting university. I'm going to start my own business. I was adamant. And I think my mum was like slightly stressed about me not going to university when she knew I was capable of it. Yeah. And she was the one who actually found the course. Oh, right. And it was at a time where I think other people going through clearing, because it was towards the end of summer. Yeah. And I remember having a conversation with the course tutor and being like, I'm not sure if I'll be right for this. And like, because I don't want to go back to university. I already feel like I've wasted that whole year, all that money. Yeah. I just want to start a business. And she was like, you're the perfect person for this course. Wow. Like we had a really good conversation, which I think you don't really get that often that you get to speak to. And yeah, that was kind of how it happened. So it was really not my intention. I don't think at that point I even knew I wanted to start my own business, but I don't even think the concept of entrepreneurship was really.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You don't really get taught it in school, do you? Yeah.
I think I knew like all this stuff that I like, projects and doing different things, and I liked a bit of creative. I love a spreadsheet, like, you know, all different things. But actually putting a label on that, I don't know. I mean, we can talk about it a bit more, but I just don't think when I was younger there was, especially like women in entrepreneurship, I just didn't see them.
No.
I just didn't ever really think that was an option.
No, exactly.
So yeah, very like random route to getting there.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that I'm now like a much bigger advocate for practical courses. And as I say, almost not to downplay Northumbria, because I think it was an amazing university and they've given me so much support since. Like, they're amazing. But obviously it's not considered as high ranking in terms of like academia.
Yeah.
I think if you're of that practical mindset, don't kind of think, oh, I just need that label of, because no one really cares once you've got a job, to be honest. It's just like you've got a degree. Like, no one actually, unless you go into like top unis, no one even really looks at it.
No, I've never been asked.
I think I don't want to say, what's the word? Like, the less academic universities, I guess, is what tend to have more practical options, even if they're still within sort of more professional kind of ideas of careers. I do think they tend to bring in more practical elements to it.
Yeah.
So, because I think they're better at engaging people who aren't as typically academic or fit that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
And it also gives real life experience as well.
Yeah.
Did you get a lot of that?
Yeah.
During your course?
So we, as part of the course, did a lot of things like networking, pitch opportunities to pitch to investors, like all that kind of stuff, which...
That stuff you just never learn.
No, absolutely. And at the time, it absolutely terrified me. I'm not going to... And now I literally couldn't care less. But like at the time, it scared the hell out of me. And I think also because pretty much every room that I went in was all straight, white, older men. And at the time, I was doing things in social impact. I was doing things in beauty.
Yeah.
I was doing things in social media. I was like, this could not be a worse audience for me to go and pitch to. You know, it's already a barrier in itself that there's this unconscious bias thing, but also it's very intimidating as a 20-year-old girl to go in a room full of, you know, 60-year-old businessmen and go and pitch a social impact, beauty, social media-based business. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. So yeah, I think, but as I say, the course itself, like we even did things like speed dating, but networking. So they'd set it up where even you do it. We did a lot with people in other years on our same course. So people that were second, third year, and they kind of would talk about their businesses, and everyone was running businesses at the same time. Wow. So it was very, and as I say, you wrote your assignments. Yeah. Like I remember doing one about like marketing campaigns, and then your whole assignment was just writing about the concept development, like the results, like all that. And it wasn't really that you had to do well in your business. It was just more like the learnings and the implementation. Like we did do strategy kind of stuff, and we did do, I guess, the more theoretical stuff to an extent as well. But it was a lot more like application.
That's really
based. Good. Yeah, it was. And as I say, I don't think at the time I appreciated as much how good it was. Yeah. And now looking back, I think you just, when you're young and you don't really know what you want to do, it's
but
easy
you can
to
look back at it now and take things from it and put it into the business that you're running now.
Yeah,
so
definitely. And
it's not wasted.
No, it's definitely not wasted. And I think if I could go back now, I would take even more of those opportunities. But I think also at the time I didn't have the same like confidence and stuff that I have now. So as I say, like, I remember when we used to have to stand up and talk about our business, I used to feel so sick. And it was just, again, because it was like, not that, like, I had really lovely people that I went to uni with. They weren't horrible or anything, but it was typically like, I think out of 70 plus or whatever, there was a handful of women. Okay. And that was just the students. And obviously we'd have external, like we are for a long time, like our like university,
the lecturers,
the space, I guess, that we worked in was actually within a business hub centre. It wasn't in the university. Right, okay. So there was a lot of businesses working from the same building, which again, they'd bring those people in to network with us and stuff like that. But at the time, it just terrified me so much because it's just something I'd never done before. And again, like, we can go on it later, but like men typically have a lot more built-in confidence, and I would see them just walk in and like pitch the most stupid idea in the nicest possible way that literally had no legs, but they just have that confidence. And I would have, you know, so much like, I don't know, market fit and audience and proof of concept. And I would just be like, I can't go and stand up in front of these people and they're going to like laugh me out of the room. Yeah. So, yeah, I think it was just... But yes, I think there should be so much more like that. And I know in 100%. Other countries they do the same. Because it's like I can't remember what it's called now. It's going to really annoy me. Because we actually visited one. They do it in Finland and we visited it whilst we were at university. Yeah. So it's like a program that is delivered in different universities across quite a lot of different countries. And some, I know the one in Finland was like, they were amazing. Really? Like, we were like, we're so incompetent compared to them. Like, they were like running these like incredible businesses at like 20 years old. Whereas we were a bit more, a lot of us were just finding our feet and stuff. But yeah, so they're definitely out there. I'll find out what it's called and then you can...
Drop it in the show notes. Did you get those kind of soft skills support, how to build confidence and getting over that big barrier?
Yeah, I think it was a tricky one because I think I was quite lucky on one hand that we had pretty much 50-50 men and women in terms of like tutors and we had about, I want to say like 7 or 8. And even like a lot of the women that were our tutors, lecturers were quite, I think they would say as well, quite different in their approaches. So some were, I guess, the more typically like adopt more masculine traits in their like approach to entrepreneurship, whether some were more going against the grain. And so I think that was really helpful.
It's interesting to kind of see both as well.
And have like role models, you know, like, as I say, there wasn't really role models in the media or even in like successful entrepreneurs that I could really see. Not like there is now, there's so much better now. But even having those, you know, I still like have so much respect for it. I just think they were all brought so much like to me and like gave me so much time and everything. And yeah, I think there was a mix because I always remember, and no shade to the tutor who said this because he was lovely, but I am like I put like my absolute all into everything.
Of course.
And
passionate.
Passionate. Yeah, let's say. And some people, like every uni course, some people maybe weren't there to work their butts off. Yeah. Like they were there to just get through it and, you know, whatever. Which, you know, looking back, I'm like, God, I would have hated me if I wasn't me. But I was, you know, when we had to do group projects and stuff, I just felt like I was taking up so much of the work. I was one of 2 girls in our whole team. And I felt like it fell on me or I cared a lot more. And I remember one of my tutors sitting with me and being like, you just need to care a bit less about this.
Really?
Yeah, and I really don't think it was out of malicious intent. And I really think like he's lovely and, you know, but it stuck with me, that conversation, because I felt like I was too much and it was a really hard one to navigate because I was just like, I don't want to fail. I want to do well. This matters to me. And I don't really think you can be too much, you know? No. So I think maybe the phrasing could have been better. He also helped me so much with like mindset stuff, like mindfulness and all that kind of thing, because I've always been, I still am really bad at that kind of winding down and putting things into perspective, not spiraling. No. So yeah, I think I got a lot of support, and as I say, I think potentially down to even now I've had so much support from the university since leaving. They have a whole alumni program. They have an entrepreneurship business hub.
Cool. Yeah.
I've been to a couple of events that they've done. I have a monthly check-in with them. Like they're so good at supporting you post university. Can't say the same for others because I don't know, but that's my experience. Yeah. So yeah, I only have very positive things to say about Northumbria.
That's so good. That's so good.
Yeah.
After uni, you didn't go straight into Hassl.
No.
What did you do in between?
So my last year of university, I basically was planning. So I was living in Newcastle, was planning to open a social enterprise, which there's a lot of poverty in Newcastle, and I really wanted to give opportunities for young girls especially. Okay. Part of it was focused around, it was all kind of, I guess, empowerment to an extent. Part of it was focused around, I was in the makeup industry. It was very a lot of it was quite toxic to an extent, or very self-deprecating in your appearance and all that kind of stuff. Not necessarily people who work there, but just like the industry, right? It's just, it tells girls that they're not attractive enough constantly all the time. So I wanted to kind of do something that was kind of flipped in that sense, and like was much more, there's more stuff out there now like that, but at the time there wasn't really. And also just like part of the things I wanted to do when I was even doing beauty stuff was people would come in together as friends and they'd all be sat around and I'd be like, why is there not photo rooms for them? Because I'd be there taking their photos before they went on a night out or whatever. And I'd be like, why is there not this? Why is there not getting ready stations whilst, and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, I wanted to build that kind of thing. And then we were going to have rooms for like training so that young girls, especially living in poverty, got opportunities to learn skills that they wouldn't be able to afford to pay for or whatever. And yeah, there was kind of all different elements to it, but it was like a social impact, kind of utilising the beauty aspect that I'd built up in Newcastle because I had like a good community and like clients and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, literally the week of COVID, like the week COVID hit, my parents were in Newcastle. We were looking, because I decided on a building.
Oh,
we were like,
okay, so it was really
it was like 5 floors, centre of Newcastle. Like I was, because I'd spent the whole year, like I'd taken like so many deposits and stuff, which was like all the funding, because I just literally gone full whack on this thing. And then literally the week before everything shut down, my parents came to Newcastle because they were like, I'd seen the premise twice, and they were like, we want to see it, because they had to be the guarantors in case I screwed everything up. And Mum was like, just wait and see what happens with this whole COVID thing. And I was like, no, I want to sign. Like didn't want to wait any longer. It was summer coming up. We had to do refurb and all this kind of stuff. And literally a week later, everything shut down.
Wow.
And it was the best thing that I didn't sign that, because I would probably be in so much debt right now. Because obviously it was so face-to-face and all that kind of stuff. So basically ended up shielding for like 6 months because my dad has a lot of like chronic illnesses, so I literally couldn't do anything. And then I got to the point where I was like, I can't be in this house anymore with my parents after 6 months, like not seeing anyone. So I literally went to visit my friends in London and just loved it. And then lived on my friend's sofa for like 2 months, which is very not like me at all, but I did it. And then I was like, then we were like, let's get a flat. And I was like, okay, I need a job. So just applied to startups and social impact and charity, but they all rejected me. I really wanted to work. We used to talk about this a lot, I think, but like the homelessness stuff, like that was, of course. A big thing for me. And I applied to a lot of like homelessness charities and things like that in London. Didn't want me. So yeah, I ended up now. But yeah, I really wanted to work in like social impact or advocacy or something, but they're a lot harder to get, especially when you don't have. I did have prior experience of like volunteering, doing my own advocacy, but not working full time in it. So I worked in startups until different health and tech kind of based startups. Really, that's what I did, and I think I went through a lot of different experiences in quite a short period of time, which I think really helped me not make certain mistakes in what I'm doing now. I guess it's that thing of like, at the time you kind of, what am I doing? But it kind of makes sense now.
It's part of the journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
Makes for a good story.
Exactly.
The Female Founder membership is officially live, and I want to tell you all about it. As part of the membership, you will gain access to a variety of different courses covering business fundamentals and soft skills for women in business, along with workbooks and templates to implement all of your learning. You will also be a part of the Female Founder Community WhatsApp group, where you will find the space for the board. It's basically the board of directors that you don't have as a solo female founder, so you can go there to ask for different advice, support, and to celebrate your wins. Members also get access to exclusive offers on softwares and services for your business, along with various live events throughout the year and monthly webinars. I'm also offering the first 20 people to sign up 20% off their membership for life. Head to thefemalefounder.co.uk or click the link in the show notes to sign up for your membership. The Female Founder empowers women and elevates startups. Do you think so? Before we obviously started filming, you spoke a lot about how you used to plan, you're a very kind of type A person, and now you're a little bit more free. Do you think that COVID or that shift
Yeah, I think I've talked about it. I hate talking about it because I feel like it blames it. But because I got diagnosed with ADHD last year.
Oh, right.
Which might not be a surprise. But I think, a lot of people obviously mask it and they almost appear type A because they're so worried about all of the traits.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like you overcompensate, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think I was maybe ever type A. I think I was just so...
really good at masking.
Yeah, and I am chaos, so if I don't plan everything to the nth degree, because we talk about it now, like my friends that I live with now, I've been friends with for like over 10 years.
Yeah.
And at school, it would be like if they changed a plan, if they were like, oh, we'll come in this afternoon, I'd be like, no, I need to know specifically what time you, like, now, like, couldn't you imagine that I'm like that now? I'm complete opposite now.
Yeah.
And I think it was just for so long that I had to have, if I didn't have a structure, it felt like chaos.
Yeah.
And I think I've kind of like leaned into it more now and I just stopped trying to fight it.
That's
cool. I'm in the process of trying to, get kind of work on dealing with it better, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think there's so many like successful entrepreneurs do have ADHD and like there is so much of the skills that you kind of need to be able to just like jump on anything all the time and like have that almost lack of structure helps sometimes with entrepreneurship because you have to adapt so quickly. Yeah. So I think it's more like leaning into the positives rather than and just accepting that I do have many flaws.
Cool. Yeah, well,
but I think that's kind of where I've got to. But yeah, so I think COVID to an extent because I think that was probably the turning point where I gave up with the structure thing because I'd planned that whole year. I lived with really lovely girls that I didn't know before, but I lived with them and they were so lovely. But I didn't really spend that much time with them because I was just like, if I wasn't at university, then I was working in the library on my business plans and stuff. And then if I wasn't in there, I was working in doing like makeup or whatever. And like, it was just constantly doing stuff. Like I was never really at home and they were so supportive and like amazing and all that kind of stuff. But I sacrificed everything else. Like I think I probably went on like 2 nights out the whole of my last year of university.
Really?
Like, I literally didn't do anything else other than I was like tunnel vision for that because I was like, I've got a year, then I leave. I don't want to go into a job. I want to have a business that's ready for me to go into. And then COVID happened and I was just like, I've just like sacrificed all of that. Not for nothing, but it felt like the first time I'd never had any control because obviously for a lot of people that was, right? It's like the first time, I have no idea what's going to happen. I can't do anything. I can't plan. There was just...
Yeah, you just
and
had
I'd
to
always
roll
been
with it.
such a planner, structure. Everything had to be like, So, yeah, I think that was like the turning point for me where I was like, there's actually... no point in planning. no point in planning anything, but just
run with it.
Taking days every day as it comes and like doing what you can. And, it's good to have plan and structure and that kind of thing, but don't just not being so perfectionist if it
doesn't go to plan. Yeah.
Just go with it.
I'd say that I'm skipping ahead a little bit because obviously I know quite a lot about Hassl, but I will say, especially to the kind of outside eye, it does look like you are very... planning and structured and you've got
I'm waiting for Colin's reaction.
You're running your business in phases and you're launching so it does feel like there is structure there.
And I think it's also probably because I try and do like a million things so I kind of have to there has to be some level of structure, right? And I also acknowledge the fact that not everyone works in the same way as me. So perhaps I would say we have like a decent amount of structure, especially for a very new startup in terms of processes and things like that. But also, I think we work so well together that we kind of just know, like we don't really even have to. I think we spend so much time together. We like don't even really have to. You kind of know what each other's thinking about certain things, or we kind of know what to prioritize and stuff like that. But we literally had a strategy call yesterday, and we kind of talked about like what I'm going to focus on, what the next steps are. Because I basically spent a year building in public, right? Like it's not that I think people often have this misconception that Hassl was being planned for like 2 years or whatever before. It was like, no, I literally, the day I started socials was the day I started it. Wow. Like that was me being like sat on a beach board. I need to start advocating for this because it's driving me insane. 100%. And that was, so I think we do have structure. And obviously, we need loads of structures because we're working on like lots of partnerships and all that kind of stuff. But I just think maybe it's more like internally, I feel kind of chaotic. I think I just have so many ideas and I'm so like passionate about what we do. And, you know, maybe it is that thing as well. Like you are like tend to be, as a woman, maybe as a northerner as well, a bit more self-deprecating. But yeah, I guess it's like an organised chaos kind of
course.
vibe.
And you've got a good team to back you up and make sure that things get done.
to counteract my...
I've had many conversations with your assistant. So obviously we skipped past and none of the listeners probably know much about Hassl. So let's kind of start at the beginning of that journey. So what is Hassl? Where did it come from and where are you at now?
So Hassl is a social enterprise which is all about tackling harassment at the root across the world. So it's about, as much as possible, trying to redirect that responsibility for women's safety away from women as individuals that we often find that we have that pressure on us to do, and instead turn it into a societal issue and a societal responsibility. So part of that is trying to work with different like organisations and stuff, but also inviting men to be part of the conversation and be part of the solution, and not just constantly adding more and more kind of mental, financial load to women by going, buy the self-defence tool, do the stay safe tip, you know, go do a self-defence class, whatever it is. When, you know, I always say there is a place for them, and that if they make you feel safer, then that, you know, that's personal choice and stuff. But from a long-term systemic solution, we know they're not working because it's getting worse. And exactly. Also a lot of the stay safe tips that we have are very contradictory. And it's like, if you do it and then there's just so many complications with it. And it's just, this is how I think every social issue should be solved, is like prevention, not how do we give people stuff after the fact. And also that it shouldn't be on the responsibility, it shouldn't be the personal responsibility of like the oppressed or marginalised group. It should be a societal responsibility.
100%.
They've already got enough stuff to deal with. Like it should be on society to work collectively to solve it. So, you know, for me, like long term would be that Hassl is a blueprint for lots of other social issues in the sense of like, in a lot of ways, that kind of. So basically, because it's a social enterprise, which for anyone who doesn't know is kind of like a hybrid between charity and for-profit, which is where you kind of operate more like a for-profit business model strategy, but the profit goes back into delivering social impact. So it's kind of, to me, like the best of both worlds from my two like big passions. But we're essentially working through a 5-stage plan. So it's just like a combination of like education, of the workplace training, of the kind of further down the line reporting tech to hopefully change the way that reporting is done so that it's not super traumatic as it is right now. We have an ambassador program, which is volunteer program, so people can kind of use whatever time and skills they have to contribute in some way. So trying to platform people's voices from all over the world and their skills and things like that. So it's trying to come at it from like as many different angles as possible and tackle all different root causes, which are things like lack of awareness, systemic sexism and misogyny, poor public space design, barriers to reporting, all that kind of stuff, and male violence as an overarching issue. So yeah, that's kind of what Hassl is and where we're at. Well, right now we've kind of launched, so we're working through a 5-stage plan. We've launched stage 1 and stage 2. We're in the final parts of launching stage 3. So stage 3, do I go through? Stage 1 was like awareness, market research, all that kind of stuff. Stage 2 was workplace training and launching our funding streams, which we have like merch that's kind of designed to raise awareness and that everyone can wear so that men can wear it too and support.
You're repping it right now.
And we have like a crowdfunder, and then stage 3 was our properly launching our ambassador program. So we now have like onboarding different spaces, and then we're just constantly like building that. Launching campaigns. So we've launched 2 campaigns, plus a country reps campaign. So I think collectively of those 3 were about 8.5 million organic views with 3 campaigns that we made for like literally no money. The first one I made on Canva, just like with my Canva Pro £9 account or whatever, a bit of B-roll and a free stock thing. And we got the singer who had done the like her we managed to get in touch with her and get her like the rights to use the music. And so it was very budget. But I think that one has about 2.5 million just on its own.
Amazing. I mean, we say amazing. We're celebrating that it's got so many views. It's such a big impact. But then you're like, actually, hang on.
Like, every time we have this conversation, I'm like, it's so good and so depressing that so many people really can relate, that so many people are like, because we've grown really quickly, but it is that thing of it's so depressing that there's so much demand for this. And that I always say that the bar is so low because like a lot of the stuff we've been working on, people haven't seen it yet. It's like behind the scenes, all the partnerships, all the initiatives, all that kind of stuff. The stuff that is at the forefront, the messages we get every single day being like, I've never felt seen before, I've never realised what happened to me wasn't okay, or like I've never been able to even like acknowledge that happened to me, or I've reported because I finally feel like I'm not the only one, all this kind of and I'm like, we haven't done anything. Like to me, we're so like 1% into what I want to do. The bar is so low.
That's such a big impact.
Yeah, absolutely.
The fact that it's just not really spoken about that much. Yeah. Like, and then you kind of just like, what can I do? I'll just brush it off and forget about it and just pretend it didn't happen. So
yeah, and it just happens so often, especially like the lower level. I mean, not a lot of it happens very regularly, but especially the lower level, like the catcalling, the harassment, the kind of, especially in public spaces, like it's a very universal experience, not just for women across the UK, for women across the world.
Everywhere.
Like literally no matter what country someone joins from, whether it's like super progressive or whether it's kind of, you know, poverty or what culture or what religion or anything, it's universal.
Everyone goes through it.
Like people love to say that there's some kind of correlation between race, religion, anything.
It's just not true.
You know, things show up in different forms in different places because of environments and cultures and whatever, but the same things are happening everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just a different fonts, I always like to say. It's, you know, like sometimes it's more on the down low, maybe not as, but it's happening. Yeah. It's just in different.
Or just so ingrained to culture. And...
Exactly, that we normalise it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like you said, it's very depressing at the same time. But no, so I think, you know, those getting that feedback, and I think my mum just actually messaged us because she's been going through applications because she's also my helper. But she was saying, I think we've had like 50 men apply in the last week to join the volunteer programme.
That's incredible.
And the last few weeks we've had 250 because I counted the other day. Or the people that I could 98% say that I'm pretty sure identify as men, because obviously not everyone, we don't know everyone, but kind of a rough, and people who have joined, like we have a specific space for men, so people who have joined that space. But yeah, it's really starting to, I always kind of started it where I wanted women on board first because I knew that they were the ones who were going to get
I
the
always
problem
find this
and all
so
that kind
interesting.
of stuff.
I saw your LinkedIn post about it. Is that you were very strategic with who you're targeting.
Yeah, because people always like, you're not gonna target men if you with this content. I'm like, I've got a plan.
I'm
doing this for a reason. Yeah, just wait. I think, you know, so everything that I've done with Hassl is like really thought through, and obviously not everyone's gonna see that, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was always like, if I start an account, especially as a woman, trying to talk to men with no prior stuff, this is going to be... So I started it with like, okay, the first thing was just relatable, kind of, not even quotes, but just statements of like, to start making women think. Because a lot of women also, like we talk about this a lot, like they also contribute to the problem. They victim blame, they have internalised misogyny. It's not just men, it's everyone... to some level contributes, men typically more, but you know, everyone does. So getting women to recognise that in themselves first, bringing in women that were already advocating or ready for change or whatever, and then slowly working through women who were maybe less at that point to get them to that point. And that's always been, because then I was like, okay, they're going to be the ones within their communities and stuff that are going to actually talk about us, that might send something to their brother or their partner or whatever. And that was always the plan. And build that real core foundation of like women who support the idea and want that change because they're so sick of the safety stuff. Yeah. Once it got them in and got those ambassadors and like those, you know, those kind of real like hardcore supporters, and it's like, okay, how do we now start to transition to, you know, the end goal is that we have 50-50 in terms of, you know, at least men and women in terms of gender. Obviously a whole spectrum, and like we already do like have so many people of all genders and, you know, different kind of backgrounds and things like that. But that's always kind of been the plan, but I just knew if I started an account, we would have never got to where we got to. We had to get people to buy into the idea first that got the problem and then slowly transition. And now we've started to put a lot more like content out specifically targeted at men, hooking men in, educating men, getting men involved in the volunteer program.
Wow.
And they've all been working on stuff that's like, okay, what are hooks for them? What brought them in? And we're like gradually going to work through, you know, again, in that same way, from men who are like ready but don't feel like they've got an outlet yet, to then men who maybe know there's a problem but aren't really like feeling ready to do something about it, and then to men who maybe think, oh, is it really that much of an issue? And slowly work down.
Yeah.
Maybe we won't get to the incels, but you know, we can get a good chunk hopefully. And the response has been amazing. Like especially the feedback from men has been amazing, and just feeling like there's a space, because I always say I just want to give them a space where like they can ask, because they can ask me if they want to ask a question that they think is stupid or might offend someone, because like people have been through a lot of trauma, and
of course,
you know, ask me, because if you don't ask, there's probably other men thinking it too, and if you don't ask, we're just gonna either they're gonna be pushed down a different path, or they're just gonna stay exactly where they are. We're not gonna make progress. But also, I don't think it's a woman's job to educate men. I'm just choosing for that to be my job.
It kind of,
no,
I get
I don't preach that women, it should, and like some of this, so the next thing we're launching is the online resources, and like some of them are specifically designed for men. It's like, here are the tools. It's not women, here's the tools to go give to men. It's men, here are the tools, we're giving you them. Yeah. This is how to approach the situation. This is how to talk to your friends about it. This is how to navigate difficult conversations. This is how to get women in your life to maybe open up so that you can better understand what the lived day-to-day experience is. Like all this kind of stuff. It's not, I don't want to give women, I've always said I'm not giving women more stuff to do.
No.
Like that's...
No. But you're giving ownership to men. To take control of that narrative and how they
Because there is so many that are on the edge of like, I just don't want to get it wrong. So then they just don't do anything.
So
and like there is stuff out there. I'm not saying like sometimes people have a go at me for like babying or whatever. And I'm like, there is stuff out there. But also it's still so underdeveloped. And we're very much focused on tools rather than information. Yeah. So it's trying to more like tangibly things that you can apply in day-to-day life, like how to have that conversation, how to set the scene, how to go and say, look, I've seen this campaign. I didn't realise it was this bad. Is this something you can relate to? Ask their sister and just a way to maybe start that conversation that isn't like tell me all your deepest darkest trauma. Because obviously that's not a good starting point. But a lot of men do want to do better. Maybe it is for the sake of their loved ones. Maybe it is for the sake of human beings. Like, you know. Just let's just give it a chance. Like people are like, oh, it's not going to work. Okay, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I might as well try.
You've obviously spoken a lot about how everything's kind of organised chaos at the moment. And obviously business is kind of like that anyway. It's always going to be messy. Nothing ever really goes to plan. Yeah. What were the biggest challenges in the early stages?
Oh, so many. I think a lot, and I think we've talked about this. One of the things that struck me, and I think this is where women especially have to do better, is the willingness or the readiness to tear people down. Okay. I always expected it from like misogynistic men. We get hate constantly. We get abusive comments, messages about every aspect of us, our appearance, what we're wearing, what we're saying, literally everything. Yeah. I always kind of expected that. And I'm also like, you're projecting, you've got your own issues. Like, I just feel sorry for them, to be honest, that that's all they've got to do with their time is sit on the internet and bully girls that are...
You can kind of brush that off because you're like,
yes, because I'm like,
that from you.
I think where I found it more challenging and I was less prepared for it was people who like share your values being so ready to criticize. Okay. Do you know what I mean? And like, I think it's a more of a left-wing problem. And I always say it's like, I think people always like, what are you going to say when I say this? But something that I almost like admire to an extent about the far right is that they're so good at backing each other. Like they can do the worst things in the world and they will back each other to the... Do you know what I mean? There's not the same like Trump. He can literally do the most outrageous, atrocious things, and it is absolutely not okay that they back him, but they will.
But they do.
They'll stand by him, and we're so quick, I think, especially, I'm left-wing, or, like, I people hate that I talk about it, but, that's literally the essence of my brand, so I don't
exactly.
care. But I think we've almost got to the point where we're so ready to cancel people that you don't leave any room for people. Like you said, business is so imperfect. Charity is so imperfect. Any advocates, we live in an imperfect world. We live in a capitalist world. You can't do perfect left-wing activity in a capitalist. Like it just doesn't exist. And, I try and do everything as ethically as possible, as close to what, I say 100% of profits go back in. Like there's so many organisations that will do 5% or 10%. No, everything goes back into what we're doing. I haven't paid myself this whole year because I'm like focusing on building stuff, We've always said every tool is going to be free to use. It's only people who can afford to that either give to our crowdfund or whatever. There's going to be no paywalls, nothing. Like it is free for people to use wherever you are in the world. Like it's free to be an ambassador. There's no people that message us, what's the joining fee? And there's nothing, right? I'm not creating I'm trying to do it as, it makes it so much harder, obviously. And it's the same with like, I don't want to get investors because I don't want anyone to ever dictate or take away from the mission.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed watching this episode, you can hear more about my journey at our first ever event with Hassl and the Female Founder, talking all things about building a better business world for women. If you follow Hassl, you can get a discount, or if you sign up to the Female Founder, you can get to the event completely free. I'm going to be talking about my journey, about navigating the male-dominated world of business and entrepreneurship, and running a social impact brand that is all about helping women, but it's inviting men to be part of the solution, and how we can apply those same insights to the world of business to create a more equal world that women can thrive in. See you there! Not to go on a whole tangent, but we've seen stuff recently. For example, can I talk about? Yeah, like Girl Guiding now saying that trans women are no longer included in Girl Guiding, which is like a major. I never want to be in a position where I feel like I have to compromise any of our values, and I don't know what's gone on there. I can't, I don't know what's going on behind closed doors and why that decision was made. But I said to Carla, I would close if I was in a position where it was like you can't have trans women or trans people in general like involved.
Defeats the object, really, doesn't it?
But it's also just like so against everything that we've preached, everything that we stand for, everything that people have bought into us because of and backed us because of. I don't think you can I think it's so important. But sometimes if you do have, like even with charities like donors or whatever, there is a certain level of like boards and having to like cater to what people want, and it's just all this kind of stuff. And like the more you can maintain autonomy, even though it's so much harder in terms of like funding and stuff, the less likely you are to have to compromise on all that kind of stuff. So it's I think anyway, going back, I think that's the thing is I wasn't prepared for how many. I think it's got better because I think we've over time better communicated like what's going on behind the scenes and all that kind of stuff. And trying to say to people like this is literally a year old, like this didn't exist a year ago. I didn't start this with any funding or anything. Like I'm just like I quit my job to do this. Like you know what I mean? And it's trying to communicate. People land and they go, oh, you've got loads of social media followers or whatever, and the website looks alright and stuff. So you probably got like people message us and be like, can I apply for a job in this team? And I'm like, there's literally 3 of us. Like there's no teams. We don't have departments. And it's kind of lovely that people think in that way. That obviously that. But it is that then people expect the world. And I'm like, we are launching campaigns that we're trying to make go viral. We are trying to run a volunteer program of now 3,000 people. We are I'm trying to single-handedly manage like 40 plus partnerships with different organizations and things. We have online resources that we're developing, going through feedback with like hundreds of feedback forms. We've got market research that we're doing. We've got social media to do. We've got, I do all the website stuff. We don't pay anyone to do the website. I just do it myself. It's like, I only have so much time in the day.
Of course.
And people, and I think that's the thing of like people just being so ready to tear something down if it's not perfect or, and I get it. Like there's a lot of people out there that are just they will manipulate and people are cynical and I get that. But I think we run the risk of just advocacy is so hard anyway. The mental toll that it takes from hearing the most harrowing things.
Yeah, literally.
Plus the kind of more side of like, even if you're running a charity or whatever, but that kind of businessy side of it where, you know, the challenges of running that kind of thing without all of the trauma type stuff. It's a lot, and if we don't create space for people to do it and do it imperfectly, we're just going to carry on going further and further down this terrifying right wing, like, you know, direction that so many countries are going 100%. In. So I think I always say, like, progress over perfection, and I'm not against holding people accountable. I'm not against giving people feedback. Like, some of the feedback's been so useful to us. Yeah, it's just even like the way you communicate it and that kind of thing. So I think that's like been one of the biggest challenges, I would say, is because that's like a mental thing as well. That's not. Yeah, I think the whole concept of not being able to make mistakes, learn from them, and then rectify is wild. Like, even like the politicians who literally have to resign because they've made one tiny little mistake, and you're like, but if you just owned up to it, apologised, learned from it, and done something different, that whole thing, that whole scenario would have been so much better than just going, right, I'm just going to quit there. Exactly. And people, and the things, I mean, not to go on a whole thing, but like the media play into this, like they have such a role to play in this where, especially like with female founders, we see it all the time where they will get cancelled, they will get over things that I'm not saying they shouldn't be held accountable for or they shouldn't do better, but it's like that they are literally the worst human alive and everything that they've done prior to that means zero, and that they should basically leave the planet. You know what I mean? Like, it is like that. It's, and then, you know, you'll see business owners like, you know, Mr. Bezos or whatever, who's exploiting people left, right, and centre, and no one bats an eyelid. Everyone's buying off Amazon, and it's just like, this is the thing. We do typically, not always, but typically hold women to a higher standard as well. Partially maybe because we're inherently supposed to have more like nurturing and all that kind of stuff, empathy and whatever. But like we do, and it's just, again, it's creating so many barriers to women getting in because it's like, you're going to make mistakes. It's impossible to not make mistakes in entrepreneurship. As literally the whole thing is making mistakes so that you learn. Exactly. And we just create so many barriers and it's often women I see in like female founder comments that are the ones. Yeah, I've had a few. Yeah, it's not as often men in my experience when I go through and like people who are making videos about other people and all this kind of stuff. It's often women doing it. Yeah. And that's where I think we have to have a bit more of a look at like, why do we, and again, we've been taught it's not that you're an inherently bad person for doing it or whatever. Yeah. It's a whole thing. Yeah, exactly. But it's just, there's already enough barriers for women. Let's not create more. Yeah. Like, you're talking about internalized misogyny, I'm presuming. Yeah. You speak about that quite a lot. Yeah. Talk to me a bit more about that experience that you've had. Have you experienced it? Have you noticed anything in yourself? Yeah, definitely. I think it's so, I guess for anyone who doesn't know, internalized misogyny is essentially where you have you're a woman who has misogynistic ideas about women, even subconsciously. So it could be literally things like, if you're in a meeting and a man, you would say, oh, he's really a great leader, but if a woman said the same thing, you would say she's bossy or whatever. It's that kind of subconscious bias kind of thing, and it's about holding women. I think always a great example is like the body count thing and all that kind of stuff, where it's like you would, as a woman, if you're more disgusted that a woman slept with 50 people than a man slept with 50 people, that's a level of internalized misogyny, because it's like, why are you holding them to a different standard? And I think everyone has it. I think even if you're the most perfect feminist activist, whatever, in the world, you have it to an extent because it's so deeply ingrained, conditioned, like all that kind of stuff. But it's definitely like an unlearning journey, and that's like a lot of the stuff that we try and talk about on Hassl is like those little statements is kind of like to make people rethink and be like, yeah, would I think that about a man? If I heard that about a man, would I have the same reaction? Or like, because I still find things every day that I do that is to some extent internalized misogyny. Yeah, because that's what you grow up with your whole life. Exactly. So yeah, I think it plays a massive role in entrepreneurial like barriers as well, in terms of like other, like we kind of talked about, other women tearing each other down or feeling like you would say like a woman who's a leader in your business, you would hold them to a much higher standard than like a man who's a leader in your business, and you're then reducing her opportunity, or you know, that kind of thing. Like there's a whole it's so built into everything, but it is I think, a really important one to try and unlearn within yourself
100%.
and do that kind of self-work, because, as I say, I don't think you can ever really be like fully out of it, maybe.
No.
But
you can't be perfect. And
no.
That's just... is what
Yeah,
you just
and it's
got
the world
to,
we live in.
Exactly.
But yeah, we definitely, we've one of the courses that we're launching is about recognising your own internalised misogyny.
Just being really honest with yourself. And
Yeah,
just like,
it doesn't make
catch
you a bad
yourself.
person.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a result
It's
of
like,
the world.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder where that's come from.
Yeah.
And kind of do better next
Yeah,
time.
yeah. And those like flipping and stuff, like I think I always, you know, it's like if you talked about, say something you said about your sister, would you say that about your brother? Or, you know what I mean? Like, would it be the same reaction? Or even, I talked about this recently, and I always like an example I like to use, but when we talk about single dads versus single mums, and it being that you typically have maybe this is me personally, but I think this is quite a general thing, that you typically have a much more positive reaction to hearing about a single dad than hearing about a single mum.
Yeah.
Like when you initially hear that, because we've been so trained to think single mums are like failures and like that they've been left and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, no, they're the person who stayed. They're literally the person who stayed. And when we hear about single dads, it's a lot more, and I still do it where for the first second, like, because the way my brain's been taught is like the first second I hear single dad, I think, oh, like, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? Like, he's doing that on his own.
My initial thought is, how on earth can a mum leave their children? And you're like,
exactly.
But does it
exactly. Literally all the time. Like, I've worked with people before where, like, a year in, they've been like, oh, yeah, I have kids. And I'm like, oh, no, I don't live with her.
Wow.
You've never, like, and I think they're a decent person, you know what I mean? And it is. It's that. But I think it's, like, retraining your brain. Like, I think it for the first second, but, like, I know that, you know, I've taught myself now that is literally not the case, and the person who stays regardless, you know, is typically the one who's done the right thing in the situation. And why is it different that we, you know, single mum is like still such a dirty word, or like growing up especially, I think it was. Single dad has got a much more positive connotation, and like you have a much more warm, like, you know, like, you know what I mean? Those kind of things, I think it's so important to just like check yourself. Yeah,
there'll be loads as well that you don't even realise.
So many, yeah. There's loads around like parenting and mental load and like, you know, going, oh, like if you go, oh, he got the Christmas presents for the kids this year, and you're like, whoa, that's amazing. It's like, oh, she does that every single year.
I've heard, this is a whole different story, but a really, really great man, like an amazing man, is just an average woman.
I've seen that as well. It's like,
which is very interesting.
If you just put them down on paper, I know. Yeah, that's the thing. The bar is quite low. Like the incel leaders of the world love to say, oh, women want like 6'5", muscly, and it's like, just kind of want someone nice.
Yeah,
he just like thinks women are maybe like equal or like humans. Yeah, the bar is pretty low out there, you know, and it's just really and that's the thing. I think we have to break down these kind of barriers, because they're just feeding into this divisiveness. Like that's all they're doing.
Exactly.
They're not actually telling you how to get women, although that's what they say.
If you're a female founder like me, spinning a lot of plates right now, let me make at least one of those tasks easier. I want to tell you about Xero, an accounting software designed for small businesses. I use it to keep my invoices, expenses, cash flow and reports all in one place, so I'm not guessing my numbers or losing hours to spreadsheets. The Female Founder is part of the Xero affiliate program, where you get 90% off your first 6 months. That means that you can build strong financial habits, and we can keep this podcast a free resource where you get to learn from other female founders. So click the link in the show notes to get started with Xero and claim your exclusive 90% off your first 6 months.
For any early stage female founders listening, if they want to start a social enterprise, a charity, social impact project, anything along those lines, what's the one piece of advice that you would give them?
Oh, one.
Just one.
I would say don't underestimate contacts networking, because I think that's something that I was terrified of for so long, and also kind of felt quite like against my principles, because it feels quite elitist in a little bit of a way. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I think maybe not so much now, but when I was younger, networking was more for people who could afford to.
Yeah.
Now there's so many opportunities, especially if you live in like a city where there's free events, where there is, or maybe it's not even in person, like there's online calls, there's communities, you know, like what you're building, like there's other ones out there. Even if your contacts aren't people in like high places and stuff, just having other people that are going through the same thing as you, or that you can talk to that are external to your business, where maybe you can't talk to your own staff or whatever it is, but you can have an objective eye. I think just don't underestimate the power of like networking and having people around you.
Yeah.
I think as well, like, as women, we're so taught to tear other women down, and it does nothing but reduce seats at the table, in my opinion. It doesn't make you have any more opportunities. It makes women collectively have less, which in turn makes you have less.
Yeah.
It's like the more women we can get at the table, same as all kind of marginalised groups and stuff, the better. So it's like, how can you build other women up? How can you support them? How can you... And it will come back to you. Like, that will come back to you, the value of that.
Exactly.
But there's often people that can help you with stuff. There is... As I say, maybe you went to university and it's your old university. Maybe it's literally people you know, like we knew each other from school. Maybe it's like that, you know?
Yeah.
You don't have to be networking in these high-flying places. Just LinkedIn is free. You know, if you use a free one, it's free. You can message people. People will be quite quick to give you a bit of their time.
Of course they will.
Like, just do it. And a man would do it, so just do it.
Love that. And that's what we'll end on. Thank you so much for being on. It's been a really, really interesting conversation.
Thank you.
There's also going to be more from you with the Female Founder, which we'll obviously talk about very, very soon. You're building a course with us all around this kind of stuff, which is really exciting. And then I'll put all your Instagram, TikTok, everything, and any other links, anything else coming up that you want anyone to know about?
Just start... on the website, we have a page that's the Get Involved page. So there's all different things on there. But we have like a survey that you can do, which is really quick, but it's just about gathering as many insights as possible to get the most perfect and effective solutions.
Love that.
We have a volunteer program that we've talked about in this. But there's lots of other ways to get involved, or like you said, just follow socials. We're launching the online resources soon. Go and use them.
Amazing. Tell your friends.
Yes. Tell everyone. Buy some merch if you can.
Yeah.
Support us.
Amazing. Well, you'll find all the information in the show notes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Yay.